Alright, what is up, y'all? Once again, I'm Rodney. We got ourselves another video. I just want to start off the video by saying I apologize for the lack of content the past few weeks. I think my last video was 3 weeks ago that I posted. I've had an extremely busy schedule, but I have been looking on through the YouTube studio and everything and seeing all the comments that everybody's been leaving. I try my best to respond and reply to everybody that I can. But just know that I am watching, I am seeing y'all's positive feedback, and I do appreciate everybody taking the time to comment, subscribe, leave feedback. I'm appreciative of all that everybody's been doing. So, with that out of the way, I'm just gonna go ahead and start. I wanted to do a video on this company for a while, as you can see from the title. Fucking awesome skateboards. Now, for the remainder of this video, I'm going to be abbreviating that to FA because I do not want to be cussing every other sentence that I'm saying. So from here on out, I'm just going to call it FA Skateboards. But I did have a individual on one of my last videos comment and say that they wanted to hear my opinions a little bit on some hype brands and stuff like that. Mr. or Mrs. Yikho, Yikho. I don't know how to pronounce that, so if I'm saying it wrong, my apologies. But I'm going to kind of touch on that in this video. I want to go ahead and kind of give a little bit of history of FA skateboards. I'm going to kind of tell you my personal opinion on them, and going to lead that kind of into some other hype brands that I like or dislike. And after that, we've got another box right here I'm going to be busting open. It's got a couple boards in it. I got it about a month or so ago and just haven't busted it open yet, but it does have a another FA board in there that's going into my collection. So if you want to stick around for that, there's a couple of dope boards in there, so I'm going to open that up at the end. But yeah, without further ado, we're going to start talking about FA. So FA was founded in the early 2000s. I believe it was around 2004 or so that I first saw that company. I didn't know what it was. I mean, I was probably 12 years old, 13 years old whenever I first saw an ad in Thrasher. It was the all-over print of the FA logo, just all-over print. I think it was like a 2-page spread of just that across the page. I didn't know what it was. I'd seen a couple people, I'm sure it was probably Jason Dill, wearing one of the all-over prints with that same logo, one of the hoodies. And I had no idea what it was, but, me being the young kid I was, I saw the F word plastered all over his shirt, and I was like, oh, that's awesome, And, didn't really hear too much more about it. I mean, I kind of saw it here and there as I was kind of getting into different streetwear brands and different skateboarding brands as I was growing a little older, but it wasn't until recently that I started skating their boards and really kind of started noticing them more. I think here recently they've come out into the light a little bit better in the past few years or so. But FA was founded in early 2000s. I'm not sure the exact year, but it was with professional skateboarder Jason Dill and his friend Michael Piscatelli. I believe he's a photographer. They founded the brand together, and later on, Anthony Van Engelen, who is another professional skateboarder, came on board with it, and the three of them do own the company. They do everything themselves as far as graphics and everything. Jason Dill is kind of the mastermind of the graphics and different stuff like that. It is pretty much his company, his creative outlet, so to speak. And he started it up and decided to start really making it a full-blown skateboard company, not just offering clothing and stuff like that. And he put a bunch of guys on. A bunch of really good skateboarders are on there. On FA, you got Kevin Bradley, you got Nikel Smith, you got Elijah Burla, you got Sean Pablo, just to name a couple of them. Those are all people that have kind of been around in the skateboarding scene for a while. You kind of see them around, kind of associated with Supreme and different stuff like that. And here recently, FA decided to launch a sister company called Hockey, and they're kind of, the same entity, but they do have kind of their own different teams. They got their own different style. The hockey team, you've got Ben Cato, you got Donovan Piscopo, you got Andrew Allen, just to name a few. Their teams are quite a bit more substantial than that. They actually have really stacked teams. Um, but they decided to branch off and do hockey as well, so they are pretty much under the same umbrella. They're just different companies, so they can, do different kind of styles. And hockey does have its own kind of style. FA has its own kind of style, but they are very similar in a sense. And a lot of people have here recently in the past couple years, especially since Jason Dill opened the first flagship store for FA in Los Angeles, I believe it is. They've been garnishing a lot of attention. They've been, getting hyped up by a lot of people, and they've really kind of blown up in the past few years. I've noticed it anyway since I've been back skateboarding for the past few years. I've noticed how many more people I see kind of rocking their clothes, wearing their stuff, skating their boards and everything. So they've definitely blown up, and I kind of liken them to Supreme in a sense, because people are hyping them up. They are being referred to as more of a streetwear brand these days, which they're really not. I mean, I'm a big fan of Supreme. I'm a big fan of streetwear, and other companies like that whose roots are in skateboarding, but are kind of, as people are calling them, people are posers or whatever, are wearing them. And that's kind of something that comes with the territory. Skateboarding as an entity has been reproduced and used in many different styles, and especially here recently in the past few years, a lot of different streetwear brands and things like that have been getting a lot more mainstream attention. You've got companies like the Hundreds that are now in mall stores, and you see a lot of people wearing them. You've got Thrasher is a great example. You see so many people wearing Thrasher t-shirts that don't skate, don't have any idea the history behind them. And me personally, it's both good and bad. In a sense, people are gonna be, wearing it that probably don't have any idea what any of that is or stands for, or how important it is in the skateboarding community. But on the other hand, it's garnishing a lot of attention for them, and companies like FA or companies like Supreme and different stuff like that are going to be making more money. They're going to be able to continue putting that into skateboarding and into their companies and continue doing great things. So, especially in terms of FA, they're getting a lot of attention, and they've got a great team. They've got a really solid team, and they're able to give their team, more money. They're able to give their riders pro boards. They're able to, help those people that are really solid skateboarders continue to make a living just solely skateboarding. And the same with Thrasher. Thrasher was on the verge of, bankruptcy to an extent. People weren't buying magazines. People weren't, as interested in Thrasher until it kind of became mainstream. And now, Viceland picked up King of the Road through Thrasher, and they've amped that back up and started doing that again, and they've been able to do more tours. They've been able to send teams across the country and stuff. They've been able to do all sorts of stuff. So anything that's putting money into skateboarding and continuing to keep those companies that have been around for quite a long time that may or may not have survived, I'm all for. It's going to happen. Brands are gonna sell out, and people are just gonna, people are gonna gravitate towards that type of lifestyle. Skateboarding always has its ups and its downs, and that's just kind of something that happens. And there are companies out there that may be hyped up that aren't really, in my personal opinion, good companies. The way I like to kind of describe it, there are companies that are in skateboarding. If you think of like a Venn diagram, it's got three circles. You've got companies that are hyped up in the skateboarding community. You've got companies that are hyped up, that are, hype companies in the skateboarding community that are also hyped up in, this kind of mainstream way. And then you've got companies that that are skate companies that maybe, you know, a lot of skateboarders would, like hardcore skateboarders would consider kind of lame or whatever in their opinion. But you know, they're also hyped up in the mainstream. They may be kind of hyped up in skateboarding as well, but um, you know, so for example, ones that are hyped up in the skateboarding community, obviously FA is one. They are a core brand. They're super dope. You got brands like, let's see, 917. That's one that's a pretty hype brand in skateboarding. You know, not necessarily hype like how you would normally think of hype, but you know, people, they're kind of limited. You see people skating and wearing their stuff a lot, and you know they're a dope company just by their riders or by their videos and stuff. You got brand like Bronze 56K. That's one that's, you know, been really hyped in skateboarding. But then other brands like that do kind of gravitate into the mainstream. You know, a lot of those brands that I just named, as well as Supreme, you know, they're very hyped in mainstream, but also very important to skateboarding culture. You know, I mean, Supreme has been around since 1994. You know, and so you know, you do kind of have some brands that skaters respect and will kind of hype up and rock with that are also in the mainstream, but you also got brands that are kind of in the mainstream that just really a lot of skaters don't really like. Like for me, one of those companies is Rip and Dip. You know, Rip and Dip to me is a mall store brand. They make stuff that's not really exciting to me. It seems like they're kind of ripping off Enjoy to an extent with a lot of their graphics, and they try to be edgy, and it's just not something I rock with. It's not something that a lot of people I know rock with. But I mean, if that's a brand that you like, if you've done your research on them, you like their team, you like their brand, you like their clothing, whatever, that's on you, you know. And you're allowed to have that opinion. But me personally, brands like that, I just really don't rock with. I don't like them that much. So, you know, I mean, they all kind of fall in their own category. But for me personally, I mean, I'm all for brands kind of being hyped up. Yeah, you know, you're going to have lames wearing stuff that don't know what it means to skateboarding, but at the same time, it's got a very positive side to it. And, you know, I think I can look past people wearing it that don't have any idea about it, as long as they're able to continue in the skateboarding community and they're able to continue offering riders and brands the opportunities that they are. So, that's kind of my personal feeling about hyped up brands. You know, streetwear's always been a thing. Skateboarding's always been a thing. It's just, it gets kind of hyped up. You know, they kind of come in for, you know, a few years and they get really hyped up, and then you'll have a dip in people being interested in, and then it'll shoot back up again. You know, I've seen it. I've been skateboarding since early 2000s. I've seen it with skateboarding in different companies. It seems every, you know, 5 to 10 years you'll kind of have a uprise and then a down and then an uprise and a down, and that's just kind of how it goes, you know. And people kind of dislike it, but it is what it is. So that's kind of my personal feeling on that. But without further ado, I'm going to talk about FA and their boards. So this board right here was the Skyfall, I think is what it was called. It had some dope little cutout in there, as you can see how skater across it, and then it says the sky is falling. What I really like about these boards, first and foremost, is the shape. Now FA boards do kind of come in different shapes and concaves and stuff, but the one that I'm riding now and the one I've got right here is one of their classic, really square nose, square tail, real steep nose. Concave isn't really too steep. I mean, it is kind of a steeper concave, but you know, I really like this shape. It's an 8.5. It's a great shape. I've noticed skating, you know, I'll skate my boards backwards, as you can tell. You know, I've got razor tail on both sides. I skate my boards both ways. That's just how I've just done that ever since I started skating, and it doesn't really bother me. But it did take some getting used to, because there are some tricks that I like to skate with my board backwards. I feel like I can flip them better. I feel like I can do them more consistently, popping off the nose. And there's other tricks that I use the tail for. It just really depends. But it did take a little getting used to, because this nose is just so steep on this board. It's so big and so steep. So it did take a little getting used to, but I could say hands down this was one of my favorite boards I've skated in recent memory. And another thing I really like about FA, they do a lot of wild stuff. Like, not only are their graphics kind of weird graphics, but as you can see, I don't know how well you can see in the camera, but they do this wood embossing where it just has FA embossed across it, and this board as well has that. And as you skate it, it skates away the ink on that embossed area, and it kind of shows up as whatever the ply color was. So it adds a little bit more graphic as you skate the graphic away, and I think that just looks tight. You know, obviously once you do skate it pretty heavily, that embossed is going to get ground down, and then it's just going to start looking like a normal board. But you can see where I've kind of skated it, rubbed off the graphic, and you know, so it just kind of, it adds a little bit of a visual appeal to the board. This was the last board I skated, and then I moved on to this one right here. This is my current setup. This is the Malcolm Speaks board. I did try to ride it with some rails because I really like the graphic. But I was skating so hard, one of the rails ripped off, so I was like, you know what, I'm just going to skate it like it was meant to be skated. And as you can see, this one was embossed as well. And as I've skated a little bit, the ink has kind of rubbed off, and you get that extra little graphic in there. And I just think that's so sick. I really like that. There's been a lot of board companies that have been doing embossing and raised inks and different stuff like that. And I don't know, I just like it. You know, it adds a little something different to it. It adds a little bit of flair. It you know, gives you something as you're skating your board. It gives you something to kind of look forward to as you're destroying the regular graphic. It just looks really cool. And you know, also these, I'm not sure if all their embossed boards are this slick type material, but both these boards are slick boards. They weren't labeled as so, but just looking at them up close and after skating them, they do have that same material that like slick boards are made from. So I mean, it's a really dope board, and as you can see, it's got the really square big nose, the square tail. It's got kind of the same amount of concave as that other one. Just be wary if you're looking for a board with a really steep nose, a FA board. Some of their boards and their different pro models do come with different types of concave, different shapes. So if you're not sure, maybe kind of check them out, ask people about them. But from what I've seen, just from their regular, like, not pro boards, like the last two I've skated, they both have this same kind of steep concave on them. But I've been absolutely pleased with this company and their boards, and I will say that this is a company that I can skate. I can really rock with them. I can skate their boards. I like their team, so I think I'm going to continue to skate them. You know, I like to skate maybe 3 or 4 boards from a company back to back, and then jump into another company, especially if I'm doing different reviews and stuff like that. And if I really like them, you know, I will continue to skate their boards. Brands like Death Wish, 917, those are ones that I continue to ride. Creature, they've all got really good boards, really good shapes and stuff like that. So if you're looking at buying an FA board, I 100% recommend it. I would say go ahead, grab one. Maybe try and get one from your local shop, or order one offline. If you order one from the FA website, or just, you know, type it in online, you'll find them anywhere. But yeah, luckily my shop carries them. They carry a lot of them, so that's where I've been getting mine. And they've been great. They've been amazing boards, and I've really liked them. So I hope you enjoyed a little bit of information and a little bit of my opinions on that company and other companies that I mentioned. But like I said at the beginning of the video, I'm gonna go ahead and open this box up. I did a little bonus unboxing in the last video. I think the Death Wish video. I just happened to get a box that day, and I wanted to open it up. This one right here I got close to a month ago. I just didn't open it up. All 3 of these boards are going in my collection. They're gonna go on the wall. I just don't have any room right now. I gotta move some stuff around where I can mount some boards. I've got like close to 10 boards that I don't have mounted, so I gotta figure that out. But so these have just kind of been sitting around, and I'm gonna go ahead and pop them open real quick. I do have my address marked out and everything, but I ordered this from skate park at Tampa. And normally I'll order boards for my collection from different places. If I see a graphic I really like, I'll order them. But I try to or get them from my local shop. All my boards that I skate, I get from my local shop generally. But whenever I want something for a collector's piece or something like that, I definitely don't mind going online and getting some something that I'm really gonna like. But without further ado, let's go ahead and pop this thing open. There are 3 boards in here. I'm really stoked on all 3 of these boards that I was able to get. So we'll go ahead. We'll do the FA board last. So, this one right here. This is a Death Wish team board. I really like this one. I saw this one on the Death Wish site, and I was gonna buy it. And then by the time I went to get it, it sold out. And then I found this one on the Skate Park at Tampa website. I've ordered from them a couple of times and just figured, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and grab it. And then I found a few more boards I liked. So, yeah, this is the Bombing Trains board. It is an 8.475 width with the 31.875 length, 14.25 wheelbase. Super sick graphics, super sick board. I really like graffiti and different street art like that. So this one I definitely wanted to add to the collection. Now next up, this one is a really sick one. I was super stoked on getting this one. This one is Santa Cruz board, Manuel Guzman. Now this is the Dining with the Dead board, and it is a reissue of one of his original graphics from Santa Cruz back when he first turned pro for them. This is the 15-year edition of it. Now, I don't know if you can buy this one anymore. It just came out when I bought it. But it is a 8.27 by 31.83 length and 14.22 wheelbase. So that's kind of a weird size, but it's pretty sick, man. It's one of their power ply boards. That means that here in the nose and in the tail, I don't know if you can see that very well through the plastic wrap, but they have like the chip resistant black in the nose and the tail, so that if you hit a corner, it doesn't necessarily mean your board won't chip, but it definitely does deter chipping. And then up here on top, rather than having, you know, a full thing, they've got embossed right here, they've got the Santa Cruz skateboard. So I think this is pretty sick. It's got a lot of color to it. It's got the matte finish on it. It's got a lot of colors. It's got the Day of the Dead people. They're all sitting there drinking beers, eating tacos, all that stuff. So that one's sick. It's got a lot of color in it. The black background really makes it pop. So that one's going to look sick on the wall when I finally get it up there. And then last but not least, this is the FA board that I actually bought originally to skate, but then changed my mind after I bought it. I definitely want this one to go up on the wall. So this one right here, super sick. This one is the Face Reality. Yeah, Face Reality was the name of this model board right here. I'm gonna go ahead and get this box out of the way. And this board is just sick, man. I mean, and this really shows you kind of how Jason Dill operates with his graphics and stuff. You know, you got the FA there, real big. You got the drawing, which I'm guessing is a Jason Dill drawing. He is quite the artist. And then you got different paper clippings right here. And you got different photos just put in the background with the silver. You know, you got Saddam Hussein's face right there. You got all sorts of craziness going on. This Statue of Liberty. And says right here across, I don't know how well you can see that, but I'm going to go ahead and just read it out. It says, "Everyone is going to be different. A new world order. It will be a much better world for those who survive. In the long run, life will be better. The world we have wanted will be reality. We have all been so wrong for so long." And then it's got this dope, looks like a punk rock Asian dude. You know, it's kind of like a cartoon rendition of him. You got the little belt buckle, drinking a beer, got a Clash shirt on. So I thought this board was really sick. All these FA boards do come with the FA sticker in them. But I thought this board was really sick. It is an 8.5. I was going to skate it. It's not embossed like the other two I have, but I just decided to kind of hold on to this one. I think this one will look pretty sick on the wall once I get a little space to put it up. But yeah, man, I just kind of wanted to open that up, show y'all. I know I did it on my last video, so that's probably going to be a thing I do whenever I have new boards coming in while I'm doing a video. I'll probably just pop them open, show them off, and maybe sometime in the future, whenever I get my boards down, I'm planning on rearranging it all and getting them mounted up a little better. So maybe I'll go through all my boards and kind of just one by one show them off real quick. But yeah, that's it. That's the video. I definitely appreciate y'all sticking around watching. I appreciate everybody that's been commenting, leaving feedback. I appreciate all the new subscribers, and you know, continue to do what you're doing. Subscribe, like, leave a comment of something you want to see, something you'd like me to review, a certain company you want to know about, a certain brand, anything you want, and I'll try my best to make a video on that, source the products, and give you my personal opinion on it. But yeah, so keep doing what you're doing. I definitely appreciate each and every one of you, and that's the video.